What's up, guys? Welcome to Blake's Garage. Today we're installing the BAVSOUND audio upgrade for the F82 BMW M4. Now this actually is pretty much the same you're gonna have your F30, your F32, obviously 2 doors with an M3 that are gonna have more doors. So it's slightly different, but pretty much the same. Just the other day I did the Ghost subwoofer installation, which was a super easy and super clean install. And that is what's awesome about BAVSOUND's installs and basically their products. All this stuff is engineered to install like factory and sound amazing. So I'm gonna go over what we have in this particular kit. This is for the Harman Kardon system. So I have the upgraded Harman Kardon, or it's actually standard on my M4, but some cars will just have the standard audio and you can upgrade to this bad boy. So first off, we got the BAVSOUND mid-range drivers. I'd recommend to keep the boxes because you can put your original speakers back in, just in case you ever sell the car or whatever, or heck, maybe you want to sell your old speakers, I don't know. Very nice quality on the cone here. Got the nice little rubber around the magnet here. And then this is the great part. You can see the audio connectors. So we got these where they split off for the tweeter, and then, you know, the other feeds or whatnot. So we will see that in the car. So that's one of the tweeters, and as you can see, it has the capacitors in here for the, I guess for the crossovers or whatnot, basically to filter out certain frequencies of sound. So that is built into that little harness. And then you got the quick connect right there, which is super clean. Then we got 3 of these. These are all tweeter pairs. These ones go in the regular door tweeters as far as I know. I think that other one was for, I want to say, the center channel up front, but we'll find out. There are 2 of these bad boys, and they look very nice. Have a good heft to them, fairly heavy. Wow, the cone in there is very big. It's all sealed on the little wiring areas. You can see we got the nice little filter right here. So what's absolutely great about this is all of the plugs are just gonna be plug and play. It's gonna be the same type of plug. So we can see here, very nice. It has a little bit of foam around here. We actually have more foam, which I'll show you in a second. So like I was talking about, they do come with some extra foam. So those are gonna go in certain areas, which we'll show in the installation. That extra foam is just gonna help seal those speakers to the area and create a nice direct pathway of those vibrations from the speaker itself. Now, this is an optional thing to buy. I would highly recommend to buy this unless you're having this installed by an audio shop. But I think that this install is really fun. If you're, I don't know, if you've been around car audio stuff for a while, probably back in, I don't know, your high school days or your college days, you probably had a pretty sweet system in your car, and I'm gonna bet that you installed it. Well, BAVSOUND makes it very easy because they actually sell this kit. What's cool about the kit, in the install kit, it has every freaking thing that you're gonna need. It has all your little Torx drivers, even it has a pick, which I might use that for something else later that I actually was having an issue with and I couldn't find a pick. It's got your 10mm nut driver that just popped out of there. It's got this little ratcheting install wrench. So this is a quarter, but that makes it good for like tight areas where you can't get in with a flat style screwdriver. Pry tool right here, which is awesome for getting up clips. It's got that 1/4-inch drive. Oh, I'm throwing things. It's got that 1/4-inch drive right here. This is the huge one. It's got the pry tool. It does feel quality. Doesn't feel like it's gonna bend very easy. So that is something that you wanna have. That is a good quality product right there that you're not gonna break because it's made of cheap plastic. Comes with a little 7mm here, nut driver. Comes with an 8mm nut driver. So just all of these little things that you're not gonna need to hunt around for because you got your toolkit. So this is a must in my opinion, but it is not included in the in-car upgrade. So just keep that in mind. If you plan on doing it yourself, I would spend the extra couple bucks and grab one of these. I think we should jump into the car and start doing the installation. What I want to start with first, the center channel is right on the dash in this area. Sorry if I can't get the amazing shot at the moment, but we're gonna get in there and start to pry that open. I feel that that's kind of one of the areas that seems to be the hardest. So, you know, if you guys are thinking like, well, I know about door cards, but I'm not sure about that one. We'll show you this, and then you kind of can assess how you feel about it. Using our pry tool, which, like I said, came with the kit when I got it. Now, one nice thing is the dash is kind of squishy, which is good. That little bit of squish helps you with getting this out. So we're getting the pry tool in there. Now we're just gonna get in there and we need to pry up. Now that actually worked pretty dang easily. I should say this too, guys. This is the first time I've done this installation. I'm gonna make it look like I've done it before because, well, if you've watched any of my videos, that's the way they always look. It looks like I've done it before, but I haven't. So prying all of those, that is looking pretty good right there. Pry back right here. This is looking great. Coming out pretty easy. We got that last one kind of over there in the corner. And all these clips were nice and tight, which is really good. So this is what it looks like. This is what we're working with. It was like this when it was up in the dash. And we are prying out on these tabs right here. So you can see the little metal tabs are going to be kind of your areas where they're squished out because they have that resistance. A bit of resistance right there in the metal. And then these areas right here, these are the ones you're going to really need to look out for. It will just pry up. It's pretty easy, but if you could press in a little bit on those with the pry tool, that'll be good. That way you don't break the clips. But these vehicles are all pretty new, so we should be pretty good with tightness and those clips. Now we can kind of take a peek at the stock speakers here. So you can see the tweeter with the Harman Kardon system and the mid-range right here. You can see the screws as well. So we got 1, 2, and 3 over here, and then on this we got 2. So that little dome tweeter that we had in the kit, we're gonna put right here, and the other one is gonna be the other single mid-range that came in the kit. So let's go ahead and take this out. The tool we're gonna use is this guy right here, this little ratcheting quarter screwdriver. See, I could be right by the windshield and ratchet this bad boy. So let's do that. The T20 Torx, we're gonna take it out. It's working absolutely great with this tool. And what's cool too, is you don't have to ratchet it the whole way. You can actually use your fingers and speed up the process. So biggest thing here is don't drop the screw inside of the dash, or else you're gonna have some fun rattles that you're gonna have to try to figure out how to get that thing out of there. I would recommend a magnet, but yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. So we'll take these 3 screws out and we'll be good to go here. Now that you have the mid-range out of the car, I went ahead and used the pick right here so I can kind of show you. Those 2 little areas, I put the pick in and was able to get the connectors out, just kind of pulled out. Nothing real special on that, you just had to get a good grip. As you can see from the stock Harman Kardon BMW stuff, it's not that amazing. It's not that heavy. The magnet's pretty weak on this thing. So you'll notice there's one thing that came in the kit. It came with this center channel 4-inch spacer. So we're gonna be using that up there. And then here's that center channel speaker again. Man, this thing is so much more heft. Oh my goodness. Something I want you to take note of is the way that this is actually drilled out. So if you notice, this side kind of has the longer side where these 2 are kind of evenly spaced. It actually went in there kind of like this. So just keep that in mind for reference of how the new speaker goes in. Looking down here, we do have 2 blue wires. Now the reason for the second blue wire, if you follow it, it goes to this tweeter. So it's gonna hook up a little bit differently, but the old mid-range is going to get this guy and the other one will go to the tweeter. There's also a little groove right here where the wire goes. So we'll take out this tweeter, the 2 screws out. Now we can remove the factory tweeter. And what you're gonna see here is that wire. So we kind of want to follow that wire down in the hole. You can see where the factory little filter situation is here. If you notice on the spacer, there is a notch. So we are gonna have to figure that goes with the placement of where the wires go. And that seemed to be about the likes of that. So I have them in their hand tight. Now I'm gonna use the T20 and go ahead and torque those down. As you can see, the wire for the tweeter through the little crossover is poking out so that we can plug that in
to this little guy right here where it has the proper connector.
Something I want you to take note of is the way that this is actually drilled out. So if you notice, this side kind of has the longer side where these two are kind of evenly spaced. It actually went in there kind of like this. So just keep that in mind for reference of how the new speaker goes. So using that T20, made sure they were all tight, but not over tightened. Now I feel like it's a good time to just turn the car on and check the audio before smacking this cover back on. Just checking for any vibrations or anything like that that you may not want. One trick on the front mid-range, you notice the magnet. I removed the rubber trim here. Everything audio-wise sounded great, so now we can just go ahead and kind of just push in the inside clips up here. That way they kind of grab around, and then we can push down. Man, this thing is very tight, but that's good for a good fitment. On this, I was having interference with the mid-range when I'm trying to put it in here. So just keep that in mind. If yours is not going down, I'm just gonna break mine off. Kind of separate this one piece. It does feel like it's still gonna be super tight. It does feel like it needed that additional clearancing to get in there, because it was just popping up in that area, and everything else feels really tight. Yeah, that's all it needed, and now it looks great, and I don't think we'll have any additional issues with vibrations from that. All right guys, so let's go ahead and take the door card off so we can get these speakers in. The pry tool, I'm just gonna get in here. Be gentle, this should be tight, but we are going to pry this area out to gain access. It should click a little bit. This is really tight in this area, but we need to just kind of pry out on this. Get a couple little clicks here. We got a little click in that area. BMWs are so tight and well engineered. There we go. Got that popping off. Okay, so you can kind of see that. Now this bottom part, we're kind of just gonna slide out. Boom. See this little tab right here? This kind of slides in like that. You kind of see the orientation there. It popped out pretty good, but this is a leather wrapped piece, so just kind of keep that in mind. We got our T20 Torx bit. We'll get down in here and get a good grab on this screw. It's pretty well loose there. Now more so on the top of this handle, we'll have another T20 Torx. Go ahead and remove that particular screw. This one came out a little bit easier, as you can see the screw right there. Now from here, we want to go ahead and pull the door card off. Now sometimes you can do this by your bare hands or using the pry tool. There's going to be multiple little clips all around the car, so I will shove this pry tool in here. You can hear that clicking. We'll just kind of go around, make sure we get all the little clicks undone. Now once you have a couple clicks, a lot of time you can just go ahead and pull on the door card and it'll kind of get the rest with some nice solid grabs like that. All right, I think we got one more. Right. Then we should be able to just pull straight out from the door. Don't be scared here. All right, there we go. Door card is removed, and here's where we got to deal with a couple of the items. We got the door plunger, right, for locking and unlocking the door, so we'll just pull that out. Want to make sure that goes back in when we put it back in the car. Make sure we're out in all the little areas. Right here we have the door handle. That just kind of clips in very simply. It's going to go right back in, just like that. Pulls out just like that. Very simple, very easy. Right here we have the LED lighting strip wire, so we're pulling that out. Now we have a few more clips back here. This is going to be for the window switches. We'll grab our little pry tool, if you have one of these, and just kind of pry out these little clips that are running along the railing here. Gonna be gentle with these, try not to break them, as they are not brittle, but they are definitely not like the strongest things you've ever felt, right? We always want to be careful of our clips and try not to break them. We need to get the window switch out so we can put our pry tool in here. and press kind of hard. And when we do that, we just popped out our window switch. Now with our window switch out, we can go ahead and disconnect it. Let's pull out the little plug here. Boom, we're good to go. I got one last little item right here. This is for the door light underneath. Let's make sure to get that out of there. Just disconnect that and get the clip off. Great. Let's get this thing out of the way and we will replace the speaker. We'll work on the mid-range now using the T20 Torx. Gonna go ahead and remove the 3 Torx screws. Now on the speaker itself, we have the one wire that's going up to the tweeter. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that one out. That one's not gonna get reused. This blue wire is the factory one from BMW. That one will be reused in the new mid-range. Let's pop this out. It feels like it has a pretty good seal here. The speaker is not very hefty at all. I'm gonna use a little bit of sound deadening around this area just to kind of seal it up. That is not a necessary step. It is something that you can do just to get a little bit of, if your door is not super dead, has any sort of rattles. This thing's actually pretty good, but I'm just gonna add it just because. You can purchase that from BAVSOUND as well as a little add-on just to get everything sounding even that much better. Could run the wiring through this little pocket right here, it looks like. Kind of cool. Just kind of snake the wire up through there and then have it come out. So that can kind of snake out of there. Now another thing we're going to notice here as well is that there is a bit of foam that these speakers come with. Now that is for the front of the speaker here, just to kind of direct the sound outward. So once we get this installed and the screws in, we will install some of this foam around this mid-range speaker. I'm reinstalling these T20 Torx right here. All going in nicely. So with the bolt pattern on these speakers, you'll notice that these two are kind of staggered differently than the one over here. So just kind of keep that in mind when you go ahead and install that. And just take a look at where, well, really where all of white threaded pieces are, so that you can thread your T20 Torx screws back into the particular holes that they came from the factory in. Lining up very, very nicely. That's awesome. That'll direct the sound out properly. It won't be going into the door card at all or anything like that with the new piece of foam on. Now the original little rain cap seal that it had right here, I'm just gonna take a razor blade and not cut my fingers. Make a little kind of a plus sign in that, if you will. Imaginary plus sign. Now through that, I should be able to put my connectors through it, as long as it's cut all the way through, and then have them fairly tight once I pull them through the hole. I want to make sure that when I roll up and down the window that I'm not touching any wires, hanging up on any wires or anything like that. So you could tuck it right out of the side of the speaker, but that just seems like a possible short over time to me. I'm kind of liking this way a little bit better. So now I have those wires through. I'm pulling them tight. I want to make sure that both of them are tight. And then I can just pop it right out of the door, just like that. That is what I'm liking. Awesome. Doesn't seem like I'm getting any sort of obstructions, so that is incredible. Now, gonna take my green connector here and plug that into the BMW OE wiring. Boom, look at that, that is done. I'll probably go ahead and kind of tuck this in the door, or I may put some more sound deadening over it, but you can kind of tuck it back, you know, tuck it back in here, possibly zip tie it up. Just make sure that it's not going to rattle against anything. I don't want this rattling against my door, but if I put a piece of sound deadening over this and just kind of like seal it to the door, then I know it's not going to make any noise, so that'll be great. onto the tweeter. So this is the Harman Kardon system, and we got the tweeter. Now all we need to do is pull out. There should be kind of like a clip up in this little area. So we want to pull the top clip off. Ooh, just like that. And now once we get that off, we want to slide up. And we should just feel this kind of come off. There we go. Perfect. If you look at this little portion, it's kind of slotted. It's slotting into this channeled groove piece right here, making its good connection. Now looking at the backside of the tweeter itself, we see the foam and we see how the wire runs. So you can kind of see it's sort of wrapped around, right? We kind of wrap around the front, and then it's kind of following this direction here. And what I'm gonna do here is pop out the foam in a second, but then it's coming back around. That crossover was actually stuck right inside the foam. That was making a nice barrier so that it doesn't have any vibrations. And it was going up. I'm gonna pull the foam out now. Pulling out the foam. So this piece is crucial. Just keep an eye on that. You're probably gonna have to rewind that a couple times. And then we can see our tweeter right here. It has little areas that is just kind of keeping this in. So we're gonna either, I don't know, take a pick or some sort of tool and get in there and pop out those little areas. They're like all along the sides here, so we can kind of pull them back. So look at the orientation of the wiring also. It's kind of where it's coming out. It is coming out in the bottom half. I think that if we put it up here, it's gonna block the way this clips in, so you don't want the tweeter to be in like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, perfect. If you saw that, I just kind of pressed in and then boom, the tweeter popped out. Old tweeter, new tweeter. As you can see, the sheened aluminum around this is very nice. It's nice and cool to the touch. I know that really doesn't matter, but hey, just thought I'd tell you about that tactile feel it's got. The wiring comes out of the back very nicely. You can kind of see the orientation that is. So we're gonna try to keep it in that same way that it was plugged in. On this, the base cutout, this is a tad bit bigger, so we are gonna have to make sure we can get into that foam. I'm not sure if we're gonna have to modify the foam at all, or if we're just really gonna have to squish it in there. So now we're gonna try to click this into the old bezel. You might be tempted to do it like this, but I think those wires are gonna be too close up top. We'll try to put it back in the same fashion that it was before. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, what I am noticing is it does spin a little bit, but what else is cool is if you look through that grill, ooh, you can see that beautiful aluminum trim, which is pretty neat there. Okay, so let's try to rear out this back through if we can. Gotta pop that foam back in there. If we remember, kind of went in like this. It goes like this. Then it wrapped underneath, in front of the speaker, down under here. This is like all sorts of crazy, I must say. Wrapped under there, then back around, and it tucked in. I think we could do this, which should be fine. Kind of just run it out. And now let's try to reinstall this. With that little tab piece that I was talking about before, we want to get that kind of high. Check out the gasket that we got going on here and make sure that that's above. Okay, so I went ahead and hooked up the wiring. I just put a bit of sound deadening on here. I didn't want any of this stuff to, and now it's time to put back on the door card. So we're gonna do it just like we took it off. Make sure you don't have any broken clips. If you do have any broken clips, you're gonna need to replace those. So I actually did break one clip. I'm gonna have to pop this thing back off again later on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hook all this stuff back up. Okay, so I went ahead and installed the light back on the car. We can put the wiring back into the car as well. I'm gonna tighten that down a little bit with a bit of sound deadening as well. Anything that's like loose or anything like that when we're installing a stereo system, anything that can wobble around, if we can tighten it down in any sort of way, that's just gonna help with the sound quality in the car. You wanna give it the sound test, and by that I mean, give it the shake. Some of these little door clips make a little bit of noise, so just kind of keep that in mind. But mostly what we're trying to do here is make sure we take care of any issues. This is the, go ahead and hook the door back up. That thing just clips on so easily, it's kind of crazy. Easy that thing kind of goes on there. It's kind of weird. Line up all the holes. You will see the holes on the top of the door card here. They just click on with this whole area. So you will see those kind of lined up. Make sure those are kind of solid. Give those some hits. Make sure all these are lining up. You can look behind, kind of see, make sure they're going in. They should feel solid when you give them the hit. Like I'm saying, I like to make sure they're in the holes before you give them the hit. That way you know it's doing what it needs to do. So I have a little bit of noise from the plunger. You guys hear that? That can make some audio noise. Besides that little spot, it's all pretty good. So I may have to do some sort of sound deadening on that particular area. Like you could put some felt tape on that and like slide it in there and then get rid of that if that does become some sort of issue. But I don't know if that's gonna be an issue, but we'll just leave it like that for now. Here is the window switch right here. We're just gonna go ahead and plug this back in. Great thing about BMWs and most modern new cars, wiring harnesses can really go in one direction for the most part. Pretty much with just all the things. When you put this in, you know, make sure we're putting it in correctly. We're gonna put this in first. As you can see, it's got two little tabs on the back, so slide those in to their spot, press down, boom. Good to go. Now we have our last two T20s, so we gotta put those back in. Make sure you are screwing into something. If you're not screwing into anything, you probably screwed up. So you may have to take the door panel back off and make sure that you have something that you're threading into. This door card has been worked on a couple times from BMW. So one of the things I don't like is when you take your car into the dealership, a lot of time they won't order little clips that break, honestly. Both of those broken clips, I think this door card's been off 3 times. I had this paneling right here, it bubbled and I had to get it replaced. Also, I've had a mess with the LED strip lighting because it made noise. So both of those things have been replaced in the past, and yeah, that must be why that little connector is bad. So I tried to pop it back in there. It actually had fallen into the door. That's why I went a little bit deeper, and when I put it back in there, it's not clipping in. So I'm gonna have to do this again and get 2 more new clips, kind of part of the thing. I'll leave this in my cup holder, and that means I'll have to come back to this side, but that's okay. Taking off the door is pretty straightforward and fairly easy. So let's do this real quick. Kind of just slide this into its little slot area. I want to do the bottom first. You hear it kind of slide in there, and then just give that some squeezes. Oh yeah, dude, look at that. Door card reinstalled. If I didn't tell you about those things, you would know about those things and you would think I did an amazing job, and I did a pretty good job. But like I said, I have to replace that. And then what's cool is I'll put some felt around this. I'm just gonna like wrap that in some felt tape down in the bottom. That's gonna clean up some of those audio vibrations. On audio installs, I find this quite a bit. Especially when you upgrade, you know, if you get like different frequencies throughout the car, you're gonna get different resonance through the panels, and you know, those different vibration frequencies are gonna make rattles appear that, well, may not have been there before. So just something to keep in mind. This side is looking great. Now I can go onto the driver's side and do the same exact thing. Moving on to the rear speakers in the car, we actually have 2 sets. With the Harbin Kardon system, we have this back mid-range and the tweeter. So this is going to be that silver one, and this will be one of the mid-range drivers that we have in the boxes. Then if you look up here in the back window, you see this little grill. We have some more speakers up in this area as well, so we will get to those secondly. Basically, we're removing the seat panel that we have here. This just pulls up, boom, we'll pull that up. Then we're gonna kind of put the seats down and then pull out this little area here, and then we'll expose this door card area here to where we can remove some screws and take this paneling off. Be careful with this, try not to scratch anything. Comes out pretty easy. set that somewhere where it's not going to get messed up. This is also a great time, guys, to detail your car. Interesting enough, I found a bolt or a nut back here. So that is it's interesting. Oh, look at that. You know what? This is from a pick and pull run. Yeah, time to time I go to pick and pull in my BMW M4. Kind of crazy, right? I found a lug nut too. Those came from the trunk. Now I want to pop out this piece right here. All we have to do is kind of just reach in, and we should be able to give it a rapid pull. Maybe not. Like that. And this area is kind of going to come out of here. There's a little slot. Oh, maybe. There should be a little slotted piece back there. I might put the seat down real quick. Let's come back. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop down the seat. Yeah, that gives me a little bit better access so we can see what's going on back here. So this should really just pop out. I know I keep saying that, and it's not doing it. I pulled really firmly and solidly. What you can see right here is it has this little clip. If you did reach some sort of piece in there from the side, you could probably hit that connector, boom, it's right there, with a pry tool, or just keep pulling. The tip is rounded off, so it is meant to pop out of there, but just kind of keep that in mind. Really, this is just a nice, solid BMW foam piece. Very cool. Now we gain a little bit more access to that back speaker too, with the seat kicked down, getting the headrest out of the way. We're gonna work on the rear door card right here. Go ahead and grab the seal. It's on the outside of the door, and just pull up on it. We want to pull up on it just enough to where we can expose the outside of this panel back here. Remove this little plastic piece right here that works with the seatbelt cover. You can see it does have this little plastic clip, and that's how we are gonna slide the actual like seatbelt out of it. I don't think you have to remove it. We can kind of just place it down here. To take this off, grab your metal pry tool, the little clip remover. Sometimes it almost works better with your finger, honestly. Or like a little screwdriver to get the centerpiece out. So I just kind of pulled that out with my finger just a bit. And then, see how I'm just pulling that centerpiece out. Be careful, because this is gonna fly kind of when it comes all the way out. But now, that clip has been released. So this clip can actually be sort of removed. Okay, so when you work with these, that little sitter pin is pushing out on these pieces right here to make it tight. We have two more of them right here, so we'll do the same thing to these. You grab that pick out of this toolkit. Be careful so you don't pick your finger off, and just pull out that little centerpiece there. Do the same thing on the other one. There's just two right here. I like to kind of pull those center pins out. You can pull them out all the way, but just realize when you do that, very easy to obviously lose the actual centerpiece itself. You can grab onto it like that with your hand, and then remove the two clips by slightly prying out all together so they don't fall somewhere and you don't lose them. Like I just pretty much lost one. I don't know where it went, so I gotta find that. You can do two things. You can use your hands, insert them into the side of the door, kind of start pulling. This should be tight, and you can feel those clips come loose. Or we can use our pry tool, but I think your hands work pretty good. They kind of give you a good idea of how much pressure you're working with too. Maybe I'll use some clippage back up over here. I don't know. Felt pretty good. Okay. Looks like I definitely have like another clip up here I can feel. Give it a good pry. Yep, that feels good. Does feel like I got something back in this little area. Once we get all those clips loose, it's just like the front door card where it's gonna have slots in it, and then we can kind of pull that off of the car. Woo! Little O-ring. Watch out for those. That thing flew off, so. Again, this is one of those things. I don't know if this is just from the factory or what's going on, but look. I don't think anybody was in my car back here, but busted clip. Not cool. That was probably from the factory, honestly. Someone did not have that clicked in well. You can see that this one kind of came out, so I'm gonna have to pry that out of the door. Just kind of keep that in mind, but here we go. This is for the lighting accent. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this wire out.
That way we relieve the stress. I'm also going to pull the speaker wire out of the mid-range. Now our panel is looking good. So with this in the car, it shouldn't be that big of a deal here to just do it in car, actually. One thing you'll notice here too is there is this little connector here that went to this little area right here. So just a little isolator. So that little grommet piece that I said flew off. On the clips themselves, there's this little black area that you see here. And that black area is a bit of foam. So if you notice one that has popped off, you want to put the foam back on, great. These out, make sure none are gonna rattle around when you install the panel back in, but let's go ahead and do this. This looks like, might be a T25 on this time. Either T25 or a T20, and this is just like the front tweeter. Unlike the front, these are T25s on these screws. The front had T20s on everything, so bust out that other little bit. Make sure we don't lose any of the screws. There should be just 3 on these speakers. You have the little crossover here that was kind of clicked in. See that? So click that out. Now we'll remove the tweeter. This actually looks like it was kind of glued in here, so maybe I like complained about a rattle on my car, or who knows, maybe it was rattling from the factory, but someone put some hot glue in here and actually hot glued this tweeter in. So that kind of makes sense on why this clip was broken. This did probably happen from the dealership or something along those lines. So I'm gonna try to straighten that thing out. And that makes a little bit more sense when it's clipped in. This one's kind of broken too. Dude, and this is a 2018. I bought this car brand new with 35 miles on it. It's pretty funny. Pretty crazy how that is. Watch out for that guy. I think that's an airbag sensor, so be careful of that one. All right, I gotta rip out this hot glue. Once I get that out, I can remove the tweeter. But this speaker is good to go. So let's go ahead and put the new BAVSOUND one in on this side. I installed the foam trim around the speaker. That helps make sure all the sound waves basically get out of the panel and don't bounce around in here. We're gonna make sure that that's all nice and sealed up in the hole when we install it, and then we can put these screws in. So it's actually gonna kind of go like this, and we can tighten those all down. Got the super glue that's on mine for whatever reason, like I'm saying. I don't know if my car had some issue here or if BMW did this from the factory. I have no idea. It really doesn't look OE, but I'm gonna try to get this tweeter out now. It kind of sucks because this is glued in. I might have to show the other. No issue. Okay, there's mine. Boom. Super glue is out. Now we can install the new BAVSOUND tweeter. Let's see if it clicks in here all good. I think it's going to. I really don't see any broken clips or anything, so I don't know, man. That must have just been like some noise it was making and they just glued it down, which I guess works. I don't know. Let's listen. Okay, sounds all right. Can actually kind of slot into the old. It does fit in there, and that is gonna hold it nice and tight. No vibrations or nothing. Now I'm gonna put some sound deadening over the top of this just because I just want to seal it all up. The next step we want to do here is connect our tweeter with the black wire there. The green wire is gonna go to the BMW OE harness right here. This only goes in one way, clicks in nice, and that is great. So this speaker is all in here now, and we can reapply this panel. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit just to make sure none of these wires are rattling around or anything like that, and nothing makes any additional noise, and then I'll install this panel back into the car. All right, this might not look the prettiest, but I went ahead and made sure like all my wiring is secure and all of that stuff. Now we can put back the panel. You do need to reattach the LED strip. So this is the power for the LED strip, and then we can pop the panel back in. Now when we're doing this, we want to be careful with all those clips. Remember, we want to look at them. Any broken clips we want to go ahead and replace. I'm gonna have to purchase a couple BMW clips and then start giving it a couple hits. Feels nice and solid right there. That's great.
Move this stuff out of the way. You know, see if it's gonna make any rattling noise or anything like that. There could be a couple problem areas. If you have those, you know, go ahead and address them. Now, this stuff all looks to be snapped in good and healthy. I can reinstall the molding here. Kind of press down. Make sure this kind of goes all down. And then we actually need to slide this in. So I gotta get this up and over. That could be one thing that when you insert this, you might kind of want to angle that in first. That'll make this a lot easier. I'm just going to use my pry tool and tuck it in. Okay, I got all those screws out on the mid-range. Now I'm taking them out of the tweeter. You'll notice the tweeter design is a bit different than the indoor designs that we were using before. So it has a completely different design on it, especially made for this. One thing that I think is really nice about that design is it seems like it would be a little bit more UV proof in the fact that it's not gonna like rot out the cones on the tweeter or the mid-range, so that's nice. Very simple install on this side. Again, just rip off the cover, take out the 3 screws for the mid-range, the 2 for the tweeter, and then you can reinstall the new tweeter. Here's the new one. New BAVSOUND mid-range and tweeter is in. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the cover real quick. Super simple on that. Line up the holes. Find the holes first. Press down. You are good to go. With everything pretty much buttoned up, we just gotta put in the rear seat now. This process is pretty straightforward. There is a little trick though. You do want to keep an eye on the seat belt buckles themselves, or whatever you call these things. I don't know. Belt buckles? Belt buckles? Yeah, that's what I would call it. You need to feed your hand down in here and feed it up into the area of the seat. So just work on that. You'll know what I mean when you see it. It's basically, if you don't do this, you're not gonna have buckles for your seats. Now, some of you may not care because you've probably never even had anyone ride in the back of your car, but it doesn't happen to me much. I think one person's ridden in the back of my car once. All right, so those are pressed in. All you have to do with the rear seat now, push it all the way back and then down, click it in. You should feel it. Checking in the back area, the back parts hole back here. Check for any vibrations. Like I was saying, we're gonna start the thing up soon. This is a big vibration spot a lot of the time. Listen. That third brake light, I may need to go through mine a bit more if I have vibrations from that and just kind of fix that up. But all of this stuff looks absolutely great. The install went amazing. The engineering behind this whole product is just superb. I really love the way everything is just very well engineered and all the connectors go on. And now with this video, you guys should have a pretty straightforward idea of, you know, what you have to do to upgrade the Harman Kardon system. If you do not have the Harman Kardon system and you just have an M4, possibly an older one, I think maybe they didn't come with it. I can't remember if it's like standard on the M4 or not, but if you have a F32 with the hi-fi with the Harman Kardon, then this is gonna be what you're gonna do for your car as well. So yeah, those tweeters shining through there. See the aluminum? It looks so nice. And everything is much more heavy duty. A quick tip on the in-car stuff. This is kind of a design flaw on the M4s, in my opinion. It's, you know, someone going into the back seat. I think we've all kind of seen this. Look, this does not go up. I'm gonna let you guys in on another secret. One time I had the chair up just a little bit, and as I was cruising it forward, my visor got destroyed. I still need to replace that. So little trick there. You could do that, or even worse, you could literally drive this thing straight in to the windshield. I think I haven't tried it, but just keep that in mind and be very aware of that, because this is not going to go up, right? And it also needs to be at a certain level. So it's just one of the flaw designs on the car. It has nothing to do with this install. But see, if like this chair was here,
right here. That's what happened to mine. And then I was sending it forward, and then boom, totally crushed the visor. So you got to be back about yay far in order to swing these seats. So just, you know, something to keep in mind if you hear a crunch. Oops. So hopefully you guys watch this video all the way through and you learn that mistake from me doing that in the past, and you don't do it yourself. So now the moment of truth, actually testing out the system and seeing how it sounds. Now if you did like I did, when you were doing each panel, you went through, just turned the stereo on just a little bit, made sure that you're getting noise through the tweeter and the mid-range, and then basically worked on to the next one. Just, you know, just in case we don't have to pop anything open. But let's start the car. Actually, we don't have to start the car. I don't want to add any extra noise for you guys. So I'll go ahead and plug in my phone. Some of my first impressions on this system itself. Here's one. Here's a good little one. Post Malone type beat. Beauty. Featuring Drake. I don't know. It's just the type. The highs and the mids right now on this little guitar solo sound super crisp, way better. Ooh. Very punchy on the bass. Let me close this door. Closing the door actually kind of seals it up, and it sounds even better. If I had that door closed, I'm sure it would sound even better. Even way better, but nice, crisp, punchy bass. That's from the Ghost subwoofers and really the in-car drivers. So I did a two-part video on this. I did the Ghost subwoofer install, and I also did the in-car stuff. Now, when just doing the Ghost install, it definitely makes the bass sound a lot punchier, tighter, crisper. It is louder bass as well. Now, it's not like something that you may have had back in your high school days, you know, like a Sealed Kickers solo barracks or something along those lines, you know, just like banging it out, like just slapping bass to where you can barely breathe. However, it is very good. It's more of a refined audio, which, you know, most of us want. If you still want to throw some big old bass in the trunk, that is something that you could do. It's really unnecessary though, unless you just want to be that guy. This is super crisp. So combined with the Ghost subwoofers and the in-car stuff, it sounds so good. The in-car, the mids, basically if you dial in the equalizer on the car, so that's something that you should mess around with, and it makes it sound a lot better. You can turn off the Logic 7 surround sound. I noticed I like that sound better if I just go with that Logic 7 off, and then I go to the equalizer, and then I tune in all the different frequencies. Let me show you guys kind of what I'm talking about on here. That way you can kind of get an idea. This is all your preference as far as what you like to your, you know, audio tastes, but I'll kind of show you what I did. So going through the menu here, I had the volume up kind of low. You will notice the in-car speakers are actually much louder. So to get a little bit like more of the stock sounding bass without really cranking it, I cranked up the bass. Now, if you're listening to it, and by like volume wise, I mean like 3/4, you're totally cool. But if you're down like here, you may want to kick up the bass a little bit. Just, you know, if you're trying to, I don't know, have a passenger that maybe doesn't like the audio as loud, you can do that. But this is where it really matters, in my opinion. So Logic 7 gives it a different echoey feel, if you will. Kind of just artificial. I don't really feel like it's how the artist intended these songs to be, you know, reproduced while playing through speakers through a nice system. So this is kind of how I have mine set up. Bass, 100 hertz, right? So the lower in the frequency range, hertz, and then we have kilohertz, right? As we're going up to cell, kilo, meaning 1,000, so that's 10,000 kilohertz, or we have 100 hertz of the waveform that we got going on. So this is gonna be more so your bass. Now you can kind of crank your bass up right here if you want a little bit more bass, and it definitely adds quite a bit of bass. Sounds good. But, you know, we can kind of figure out where we like our mids, to me is a little bit too peaky, so I kind of had it like this. You know, if you want a little bit more treble, that really crisp, sharp noise, you can go into the 10 kilohertz. So that's where I really feel that this dials in, and it just reproduces sounds so good. So overall, I'm really loving the system. I'm sure I'll get back to you guys in the future on what I think about the system and, you know, if I have any nuances with it. Overall, the installation process, very straightforward. Everything is super well engineered and packaged for you guys, and it's very easy to figure out what goes where. Orientation of the speakers, I would say, is the hardest part. Also, as far as the installation goes, I want to say the hardest area, in my opinion, is the rear trunk deck. And it's not really that it's like hard to get to. It's literally that you're doing yoga in the back seat when you're installing those things with one hand. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Maybe skip the workout that day and use that as your workout. Don't do arms like I did before, because I was like, oh my god, this is killer. But yeah, the installation went very, very smoothly. Front door cards, very straightforward, super simple. Again, the front up here, not too bad at all. You can actually see the area, you know, from the outside of the windshield, so that makes it pretty easy to figure out. I would probably recommend doing the doors first, these two doors, then the dash, just because you have an idea of the orientation of the speakers and just how they kind of install. It just gives you kind of a straightforward idea for dealing in tighter areas. So I'd do sides, front, then I'd go to the back, do the rear area over here, and then I would do the deck at the end when you're tired and you just want to bust the rest of it out. So the system sounds amazing. I highly recommend it if you guys want to do any sort of upgrade to your car, especially if you do not have premium sound already. But like on the premium sound note and level, this thing is like 2 to 3 notches above the way that sounds. It's completely different, which is really cool, which makes it really worth the upgrade. You know, it's not something that you're gonna be like, I don't really notice the difference. So that is really nice. Also, another cool thing, no additional wires you're running, no amplifiers, you know, no boosters, none of that stuff. It just works off of the stock head unit, so you're not modifying anything, and that is amazing. It just makes it to where, hey, I'm gonna get rid of my car, I want to put everything back to stock, you can, which is great. And then, you know, you can sell the system later on or whatever, and you know it's gonna last. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. We will talk to you soon. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon down there if you have not. I put out multiple videos a week, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and later, and wrench on.